heck am I and how did I get here? Well, it took a while, so time is precious. Spend yours wisely and never ever get caught up in the way of thinking that says time is money. That's poor people thinking, and when you think about it, time doesn't exist. It's an illusion that's only for us here in the human world. But for us here in the human world, time is precious. Time is the most precious. It's all we have, really. So if you get to spend yours well, consider it a luxury, a big time bonus. Morning, guys. George Schlacek here. So yeah, I just crossed the North Saskatchewan River, and if you didn't know, well, you might think I'm at home in Edmonton, but this is Rocky Mountain House. Bicycle trail by Petro-Canada, and it is unpaved. I guess that's fine. It's part of Parks Canada. Let's just explore it for now. Do we have a map here? Apparently, yes, you are here. Alright, so we're going back to the river. We get to know the kilometers. Community agglomeration, 5 kilometers. Visitor center. Yeah, it's rained last night, so maybe this isn't the greatest, but so far so good. So yeah, it's a little bit rough here, but it's interesting. A nice little trail here, and I've never been on it yet. So Barbara and I came to Rocky Mountain House to pick up some apples at her son's house. She likes to make the applesauce, and of course, you know who is gonna enjoy eating lots of it. We both do. Yeah, guys, we're at the tail end of August, and it seems like it's almost unbelievable. Where did all the time go? Time is the most precious thing we have, and also time might be an illusion. The reality might be that everything that we know and everything beyond that, so basically the universe, all exists, and there's no aspect of time to it. It's just the way we experience it. We are humans, and it's totally interesting, but it's also mind-blowing because, you know, I can't get my head around it. But I know it's a beautiful experience. Life is precious, guys. Look at this. Yeah, we're in the forest. It's not that warm anymore, guys. It's August. I mean, it's a beautiful day, but in the morning now the temperature goes down to like the single digits, and this, we didn't have this for a while, being summer, and it's just a reminder that the summer, as nice as it is and everything, it's gonna end very soon. And what happens here, because we're so far north, the days rapidly shorten, meaning the daylight hours. So we have the stupid, I call it stupid, daylight savings time in place, where in the springtime everybody walks around with a lack of sleep because they cut off an hour of it. But then in the fall, at some point, it changes back. That's because, yeah, I guess They want us to, it should almost be the opposite way, you know, because in the fall, it's dark here at 4:30, but we're not there yet. We have still a fair amount of daylight, probably more than most other places in the world, but it's changing. Okay, we're finally at the river. This is kind of what I wanted. I can barely ride it, guys. I can barely. I guess, is that what they call a bicycle trail? Man. So here I am, guys, at this, somewhere near Rocky Mountain House in a park. A national park. It's a national park, this bicycle trail. Yeah, it's beautiful. Can't deny that. So time. The reason it entered my mind is because the summer, like when you get toward the end of August, you know, August, you know, you're still securely in summer. You know, I love summer. But we're getting to the end of it now. You know, it's only a few more days. And then it's going to be September, and the change could be very rapid. It could be snow in September. I mean, we've had that numerous times, and that doesn't mean it's winter. It just means that you get a freak few days where you're basically shocked out of your mind, and then it melts and sunshine is back. The weather could warm up into the mid-20s and whatnot. You're living happily again for another few weeks while the leaves are blowing off the trees and all that. And to be quite honest with you, why am I talking about this? Because I don't even want to think about it. I love summer, period. So talking about time and how precious it is, you could probably imagine, if you've been following my channel, maybe you have an idea where this is going. I spent most of my spring and summer rebuilding a truck. That's aside from working, aside from what is going on. Barbara and I went for a trip for 2 weeks. I still have to show you a little bit of that on this channel because it's worth sharing, I believe. But I've been recording so much under and around this truck. Every time I had a problem to solve on this truck, I basically recorded it in order to be able to share it. But it's when you go back into all this footage, you see that, well, some of it maybe is not that great. I don't know what you thought about my last video where I finally put oil in the transmission, put a filter in there, installed the drain plug in the pan. I mean, I seen videos where a guy installs a drain plug in the pan and that's the whole video and goes step by step and it's 20 minutes. But my video is not like that. My videos will not be like that. It's kind of just, I'm sharing the experience of it. And there might be parts that are totally irrelevant to you. But on the other hand, there might be parts that could actually help you figure out your own problem. So that's why I keep doing it. It's just my way of sharing this adventure. And yeah, some of you may already know this is to replace a truck that got stolen, and it's going on 2 years, guys. I've been without a pickup truck for 2 years, and my trade is professional handyman work, where a pickup truck is almost, I would say, essential. I mean, you could have a van, you could have something else that'll haul tools and materials, but these pickup trucks are kind of ideal for it. Normal people, or maybe smart people, or people who don't like to work on trucks, whatever that is from your perspective. I mean, I actually enjoy this crap, but you know, sometimes it's overwhelming and sometimes I question, you know. There's another video coming up that involves the transmission. It's because I had a problem with it after I got it to drive. And there are still a number of things to solve, but it's getting close to the nitty-gritty, and where I can actually hope at very soon getting insurance on this thing and putting it on the road. But talking about time, I mean, time is so precious. Let me know in the comment if you haven't worked on a project like that in, say, yeah, I think the last time I rebuilt a car like that was in the mid-2000s when I bought a Buick LeSabre that wasn't roadworthy, and I fixed it up like that. Took me a couple of months or so, but then it was absolutely roadworthy, and I had that car for about 5 years. It was a good car. Now this truck, I'm counting on it being the same way, but so far the rebuilding process was a lot longer because it hadn't run in about 10 years. So there you go, you know, it's just a different kind of thing. Let me take you back to the late 1980s when I first moved to Montreal from Germany, and I needed a pickup truck as well because my ex and I, we had work to do around the house and the yard, finishing the basement, that kind of thing. And how do you haul anything if you don't have a decent vehicle for it? So that's when I purchased my first pickup truck. I was so proud, you know, I had found a truck for $400, a Dodge D100, 1976 model. It was a beautiful truck, really. But of course, for $400, you can't expect anything that actually works flawlessly. So for that first summer, I was rebuilding the engine. I hadn't had any experience with rebuilding engines other than reading books. You get the Haynes manuals. I'm not sure if I had a Haynes or a Chilton, one of the two. But basically, I went step by step, rebuilding the engine from that book. And when I finally had everything apart, and I went to a parts store, and these people, I got to know them really well. They got to know me. They were giving good deals and stuff, and they were really nice, helpful. But when I finally had ordered all the parts and I put that together, not on an engine stand, I actually put this on the pallet, upside down, put the crankshaft in there, torqued down all the bearings. I had checked the clearance with some stuff you call plasti gauge. How it works is you put in a piece between the bearing and the crankshaft journal, and then you torque it, like you do this for all the journals, and it measures the clearance by spreading the plastic. So then you have on the paper, there's a thing you compare it to, and that's how you know if your clearance is within the specs. So it's quite interesting. But yeah, my clearances were perfectly within specs. But when all the bearings were torqued to the proper spec, the crankshaft just wouldn't turn at all. Back to the store I went, and it was like everybody looked at me and said, well, you're definitely not doing this right. You're doing something wrong. And then finally, after a half-hour discussion or so, the guy says, can you bring me the block? The whole engine block, guys. How do you bring an engine block to a store if you don't really have a transportation for that? So I had to borrow that. I had to borrow a van. Yeah, I didn't have an engine hoist neither. So I hauled this around by hand, you know, just kind of hugging this damn thing and hauling it to the store. And then, yeah, like this was a whole summer also, guys, fixing a pickup truck. And today, I mean, I am literally 40 years older, or am I? This was in the 80s, 1980. So 35. Let's say I'm 35 years older than that, and I'm still doing the same shit. I haven't learned anything, or have I learned that this actually works? It's an in-between thing, you know. And when I first took on this truck, I kind of knew where this was going to go, but I couldn't get my mind around how extensive this would actually be. And I haven't even had to rebuild the engine. Knock on wood. I mean, I didn't know it was serviceable, but it seems to be running just fine. The question is, you know, we have limited time in this life. And when I was in my 20s back then, I thought of my 60s as the time where I'd be basically doing whatever I wanted because I'd be wealthy enough to pay for it. And it didn't have to be fancy, just the same as nothing has to be fancy. You know, you just want your freedom. Now it's like 2024. I'm going on 62 years of age, guys, and do I have more freedom than back then? Yeah, but the only reason is because my kids are on their own. They're grown up, they're in their 30s, and here I am, you know, still haven't figured out how to be really truly financially independent without having to do something for it, you know, like on an ongoing weekly, monthly basis. You know, there's got to be an income. My dream back in the day was you know, to be done with this much earlier in life. And yeah, I want to say that if you have the opportunity, you know, to invest even just a small part of your income into something that you know will appreciate over time, say real estate or stocks or a mutual fund. Some say Bitcoin, but you know what? You have to be really careful who you trust. You should never invest money with anything that is too new or with people that seem like they have it all together, but they don't have the track record or something. But do it. Invest your money, and over time, even the smallest amount that you will put, it'll appreciate, and you have something. It's better to have something than nothing. I don't have to work as hard as I did back in the day, back in the 1980s and 90s. So I'm grateful for that. This is just a thought here I'm sharing, and we're still on that bike trail. Hello. Oh, I'm doing good. I'm just discovering all this.
Yeah, I'm just setting up blacksmith.
Hmm?
I'm just setting up a blacksmith shop usually. I'm alone right now, but when my partner gets back, I'll start the fire and.
Oh, cool.
You want to come back?
Yeah, maybe I'll get my wife later on to come and check it out. How long are you here for?
You'll be close at 5.
Thinking this is a kind of press. That kind of reminds me of the hydraulic press I built at the house. Oh, you haven't seen that video yet because it's not out. But it's one of the things I had to do for my truck. It's not complicated. A hydraulic press, it's not complicated. But when I see a contraption like that, I'm thinking, well, maybe it didn't even have to be hydraulic. You know, all you need is a long arm. So this is the advantage when you're doing unscripted vlogs, guys. You sometimes get stuff that is totally unexpected. Like this here. Good morning. Métis Village. Alright, let's make this turn because I sure want to check out that boat. Bicentennial Petro-Canada Trail. So totally unplanned here, we're actually checking out some of Canada's history together because the river used to be the main highway until they built roads, and building roads in a country like this couldn't have been easy. It's an old style rowboat. Now we're headed toward the teepee. Fairly simple idea. You can actually open and close the top, so then you'd have a fire in the center. Yeah guys, this is the kind of trail I think we should have all across Canada, long distance. Same as we have a Trans-Canada highway, we should have a Trans-Canada trail that supposedly we have, but it is spotty. It has sections like this near the major centers, but doesn't have much of it in between. I hope that one day we'll have it all. Such a pleasure to ride this, and imagine you could do a bicycle tour using only trails like this. Good morning. As you can see, this park is a bit of, yeah, like a museum kind of thing. And they're setting up for the day. I don't know if this is the real deal, but apparently in 1867, this David Thompson traveled here. What a beautiful canoe. The reason this is kind of significant is because time like this is pretty rare and it is precious. It is absolutely precious. I think everybody needs some playtime in their life. It has the potential to just make you better. If you're just working every day just to get by, which a lot of people in Canada these days don't have a choice but to do, because they're either at the brink of poverty or they are already beyond that and they're just surviving. The key to a happy life, I think, is not the magic $1 million or becoming a billionaire at a young age. It is simply having time. Having time, even if it's not all the time, but having time to do things that you enjoy and not always having to plan it perfectly, because sometimes you just have to let things happen. And well, for that to work, I think you need even a little bit more time. You know, if you say you have only the weekend or whatever, I mean, I think we all tend to plan everything ahead of time just perfectly so we can get the most out of this precious time, but this is not how you end up spending it in the best possible way, in my opinion. See, having a morning like this by myself with my bicycle makes me realize how precious playtime is. Playtime where you could just do whatever, you know, even if it's just for an hour or two. It also makes me realize that there are so many people who don't have even that little bit of a luxury. You know, gotta be grateful for this kind of stuff. And I hope you liked this video. So if you did, give me a thumbs up. Share with me how you spend your best quality time by yourself. And then, well, maybe there'll be a follow-up. Thanks for being a subscriber.